and welcome to today's live Ielts class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Central Europe. I hope everybody is having a fantastic weekend so far, staying healthy and strong during these challenging times and staying optimistic, of course, as well. I'm sure you're studious since you're in this class here with me. So welcome members. Hi Lubna, hi Nick Hill. Nice to see many of our regular students as well. Hi Andre, Marjona, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Marcos, nice to see many students. We are looking at speaking part 3 following our speaking part 2 cue card that we just had. And we're going to discuss how to respond to the follow-up questions so that you get nice high band 9s for your follow-ups after the cue card. As usual, students, this lesson is brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Definitely check us out there. And for the general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. On both of our websites, we have lots and lots and lots of help for you to improve and pass your exam, get high scores. This is our academic IELTS website here with the blue background. You can click that big red button to join the premium package. And for the general, it's the green background, and you can click that big red button to join the premium package. Use this code R4TYJ, get a 20% discount today. And just really quickly, students, when you create an account, I'll show you where you can practice your speaking for free. So I'll darken us up here so you can see this. And then I'll show you where you can do some free speaking practice for the IELTS exam. You click on that My Student account. After you create the account, you can create an account for free if you click Try the Demo. And then on the right side of your page, in the app it will look different, but you'll see this Student Partner Speaking. Okay? You click on that Student Partner Speaking, accept the terms, and then there will be a new page that will open up. And on this page, you can audio, video, and text chat with different people who are there. Right now we have Fabiola, Ray, Antipa, Farhat, Arzu, Umid John, Bahvin Bhai, Surya, Faizullah, Nirali, all in here waiting and looking for some speaking partners. So you can use that function on the website for free. So check it out. There's like 10 people in there right now waiting for speaking partners, and that's absolutely free. So lots of people use it. Make sure to use it as well. Keep that window open until somebody sends you a text and says, hey, let's practice some IELTS together. Okay? So that's absolutely free. All right? I know some of our members use it. Some of our regular students in these classes use it. So it's a great way to improve your speaking scores for the IELTS exam. And again, it's absolutely free. Okay? Carolina says, wow. Okay. Yeah, right on. So, Aminul, if you want a speaking partner, go to the website, check it out. Okay? All right, everyone. If you have questions, send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. I will gladly respond. And this is the schedule for the holiday season. Okay, this is from now until the beginning of January. So today we have the speaking part 3. Tomorrow, Monday, no live class. Of course, you can always go to the website or check out other lessons on the channel. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll have 2 classes each day. 24th to the 27th. No classes. Most of our workers are off. I'm visiting family, doing Christmassy things. And then 28th, 29th, 30th, we have some classes lined up. And on the 31st to the 1st, Again, no classes. And then from January 2nd, we'll have some more classes. So I'll put the schedule on the YouTube community bulletin on the channel. You can check it out there, okay? Yeah, it's free, Ulashov, to do the conversation with other students on our websites. It's 100% free. You can create a demo account, log in, click on my student partner speaking, chat with a person, okay? Absolutely free, all right? Okay, yeah, Andre, I'm back in Canada very, very soon here as well in the new year, okay? All right, thank you, Ois. Not quite there yet, but next week for sure. Okay, everyone. So we just had a part 2 class on speaking part 2 on the cue card. We just did a class. That speaking part 2 was about, everybody remember? That was watching the class or participating in the last class, what that class was about. Let me just refresh or inform those who were not in that class. So part 2, we just talked about a trip to Dubai and the activities we did there with our family. Okay. So, what you want to do for nice high band scores in part 3 is be unique, give complete, specific answers, and connect part 2. So Nick Hill says, yeah, we talked about a trip to Dubai. Okay. Bashanta, I live in Canada. I'm actually just temporarily in Europe right now. A little bit stuck here because of COVID and some other matters as well, but yeah, no, I live in Western Canada in Victoria, Basanta. All right. I am Canadian. Okay, so here we go. So remember, just some tips here, okay? So to get high bands in part 3, number 1, use your answer from part 2 to give explanations, examples, and to be specific with your answers. Okay, that's a really important tip. Okay. Number 2, reflect the grammar and paraphrase the content of the part 3 question. So we're going to do that right now. Okay. All right. So we just talked about Dubai. And now the examiner will say, okay, that is the end of part 2. Now we will continue with part 3. For part 3, I will ask you some more questions related to the topic of part 2 and some questions in regards to your response to part 2. Okay? So maybe the examiner, while you're responding to part 2, will jot down a couple questions regarding what you say, and then they'll ask you something like, how did your family like Dubai? Okay, so they might ask you a question like this. How did your other family members like this trip to Dubai? Okay. So give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. Even if you missed the last class, that's okay. Make it up. Supposedly we were there with our mom, our dad, and our sister. Okay. So you can't plan for these questions because these questions are coming directly from what you're answering. So it's not like you can get prepared for this type of question because the examiner is creating this question based on what you said. Okay? All right? So be ready to get this kind of a question. Okay? So Lechika says, my family really enjoyed Dubai. Why, Lechika? What did your family like about it? What did your dad like about it? Your sister, your mom? Give some details. Okay? Lydia says it was such a spectacular trip to Dubai with my lovely family. Lydia, that doesn't answer this question. How did your other family members like this trip to Dubai? Okay. Sammy says the rest of my family enjoyed the trip a lot, especially the shopping and the Arabian food. Okay, good. All right, Sammy, that's you're on the right track. You should give some more details as well. Okay. Ma'ahi, I believe the minimum age for the IELTS exam is 16 years of age. Usually because it's not required before then, so that's why. Okay. All right, Honey says, my family enjoyed Dubai a lot. Okay, enjoy something a lot, Honey and Sammy. Enjoy something a lot. My family enjoyed, not a lot in Dubai, but my family enjoyed Dubai a lot as my mother and sister lives for the great shopping malls and my father loved the delicious food. Honey, that's good. Okay, that's a little bit more specific now. Nick Hill says my other family members enjoyed it and they had a great experience since they've never been to such a beautiful place. Okay, Nick Hill, that's good. You want to be more detailed like Honey, where you explain what they enjoyed, right? So, my sister and mom loved the warm weather and swimming in the ocean or in the sea, not to mention all of the shopping malls. Between the two of them, they must have spent at least a couple grand on clothes. And my father likely gained 15 pounds in 2 weeks eating the delicious Arabic food. Okay, all right, so this would be considered your band 9 level answer, looking for fluency, coherence, and above that, looking to be natural, specific, original. Notice the quantitative language that I'm using here. Not only am I saying that they enjoyed the shopping and enjoyed the ocean, but I'm also saying how much money they spent. Not only am I saying that my father enjoyed the delicious food, but I'm also saying how much weight he put on from all that delicious food, right? That gives it more detail, it's more visual, it's better communication. Okay, all right, here we go. Repeat after me. So how did your other family members like this trip to Dubai? My sister and my mom loved the warm weather and swimming in the sea, not to mention all of the shopping malls. Between the two of them, they must have spent at least a couple grand on clothes, and my father likely gained 15 pounds in 2 weeks eating the delicious Arabic food. Okay, good. So here, notice the use of must have spent, right? By giving detail, it's also forcing me to use more advanced grammar, right? And that's really important, okay? All right, so, and how was the flight for you to and fro Dubai? Okay, so this is another question, all right? The IELTS examiner is simply just jotting down a couple of questions that they can ask you that you didn't answer in your part 2 to get some more detail, okay? And how was the flight for you to and from Dubai? Okay, so careful here, they're asking both your flight to Dubai and your flight back from Dubai. Lichika says, we took business class and the crew was quite welcoming. So Lichika, that doesn't tell me how it was. So how was it? Okay, was it good? Was it bad? You can still have a bad experience in business class. especially if you have a passenger sleeping next to you, snoring your ears off. Okay. I like how you answer quickly. Lichika, muta. Okay. Nice quick answers. That's good. You're practicing your fluency. Also practice giving more detail. Okay, more detail. All right. Better late than never. Shokhrubek. Rustamov. Better late than never. No worries. You're here now. Bekul says, while both ways we used Turkish Airlines and had some great meals and kind flight attendants, it was a really comfy trip. Personnel, Behlul, is okay, but be specific with your vocabulary, Behlul. Instead of saying kind personnel, say flight attendants. Stewardess is kind of old school. It's no longer PC, politically correct, so we say flight attendant. Flight attendant. Okay, Vishwa says, we took different flights while going and returning because we had a bad experience. There was no AC working. Whew, I don't know. On a flight, really? No AC? It'd be tough to imagine, but I suppose so. Gia says, the flight was quite comfortable both to and fro Dubai as there were good air hostess and good food provided. Okay. Roshni says it was really amazing because I got a window seat when I flew to Dubai. So I got to see the city from the sky. The end there, Roshni, is a little bit weird. We were there before COVID, remember? Part 2, you were in the class. Remember, don't confuse your answers in part 3 with your answer in part 2. Okay. Yosef says, I'm Yosef from Dubai. Yes, you're hearing a lot about your city in this class, Yosef. That's fantastic. All right. So, yeah, okay. So, well, I flew with my family. Turkish Airways, both ways. On the way there, my flight was quite comfy as I had an aisle seat with lots of leg room. But on the way back, I felt a bit cramped as I sat between my mom and my sister. Nevertheless, the flight attendants were very friendly and the food was okay. All right, so here we go. Repeat after me. And how was the flight for you to and from Dubai? Well, I flew with my family Turkish Airways both ways. On the way there, my flight was quite comfy as I had an aisle seat with lots of leg room. But on the way back, I felt a bit cramped as I sat between my mom and my sister. Nevertheless, the flight attendants were really friendly and the food was okay. All right. Okay, so if you're not able to repeat me with the same speed that I'm using a very natural speed, that's fine. This lesson's being recorded. You can go back, watch the lesson again, repeat again and again, doing some repetition work, especially to build fluency. Not so much comprehension, but fluency is a good idea, okay? So you can go back and practice. Try to copy my intonation, my speed, my pronunciation. I speak with a very crisp West Coast Canadian and North American accent. People in Seattle, San Fran, LA, they kind of speak with the same accent as me as well. Okay, so a couple months ago when we talked about New York, we covered these questions, we discussed them. So we're going to skip these questions for now, and we're going to go to the second set. The examiners usually have multiple sets of part 3 questions that they can ask from the candidates. And we didn't get to these questions last time, so let's do this now. So here, the examiner will say, okay, well, let's talk a little bit more about tourism. Okay, stay focused, students, stay focused. Tourism is a bigger business now than ever before. Why is this? Why is this? So, give me a good answer. Answer, explanation, example. So, tourism is a bigger business than ever before. Why is this? Okay. Carolina says, tourism has become a good income for a lot of countries. Not only does this increase the country's economy, but it also gives the opportunity to mix people from diverse cultural backgrounds. 5 decades ago, this wasn't quite as possible. Okay, so Carolina, you need to make a little bit clearer the reasoning. So what I guess from what you're saying is that one of the reasons is because it's good for the economy. Okay, I think you need to state that a little bit clearer. Okay, you need to focus on the reason more. So your answer is okay, Carolina, but it's not as on topic as it could be. Okay, do you see what I mean, Carolina? You could answer the reason for tourism becoming more popular a little bit clearer. Okay, Lydia says, I would confidently state that tourism has improved immensely in the last 10 years due to the advancements in technology by spurring innovations of growth in tourism, which become a significant business. Okay, all right. Lydia says, my uncle traveled from the UAE to Russia through Emirates Airline. The plane provides up-to-date facilities such as connecting Wi-Fi, onboard digital platforms to watch multiple series of movies. Okay, I think that's okay, but I still, Lydia, so it's kind of the same as Carolina. I don't think you've hit the nail on the head, okay? So students, when you're listening to these kinds of questions in part 3, okay, what your goal is ideally, okay, so when you answer, ideally, to get a high band, you must hit, I'm going to use an idiom here, hit the nail on the head. Okay, so it means state the most obvious answers. Okay, I'm going to use this first question to show you what I mean. What you want to do with this is think. What would most people give as the top couple of explanations? Okay. The other way that you can think about it, okay, is think of all the meta truths. I call these the meta truths or the big truths. So you can also say truths of the world and humans. Okay. When I talk about these meta truths, okay, this is going to help you a bit to come up with good answers for your part 3 question. So when I'm talking about these meta truths, I'm talking about concepts like the environment, health. What are some others? Give me some others. Instead of me listing all these for you, let's see how many you can spin through your head in this moment, okay? And then we'll get back to this question. We'll answer it, I promise you. But I want you to think about these meta truths, these big truths. Remember, the way the IELTS is designed is that it asks about topics that are common to all people. So Sammy says food. Okay, sure. So health, food or eating. Okay, that would be a meta topic. What else? Okay, Carolina says education, economy, work. Yep. Okay, now when you think tourism, what are some of the meta truths or the meta realities that come to mind? Very good, Moria. So Moria says transportation. Okay. Okay. Very nice. Entertainment, sport, those are good. Yeah. Think one that I haven't seen that's a big one, maybe somebody said it, is technology. Okay, so Nikkei, not happiness, but emotions or feelings, right? Humans are emotional beings. Okay, that would be another one, emotions or feelings. Sure, okay. All right, so these are kind of these meta truths, these big realities, these big truths, okay? So environment, health, food, education, economy, work, transportation, travel, entertainment, sport, technology. Immigration would be more like a part of travel, okay? That's more specific, okay? Wellness, Moria, would be more like a part of health, okay? Even food is kind of a part of health, okay? All right? So these are the big truths. So when I think of tourism, and when the examiner says tourism is a bigger business now than ever before, why is this? My first thought is to think about these meta truths. And of course, when I think of tourism, I suddenly think of all of the transportation systems that are in place now. Airplanes zipping all over the place, trains, cars. So transportation is a big one. And economy is another big one, right? So I would say, well, the first two thoughts that come to mind, which explain the growing popularity of tourism over the past few decades, are improved economy and more transportation. I mean, many people these days can afford plane tickets, as where this was only for the wealthy 100 years ago. Also, there are highways connecting cities and countries, like our trip to Dubai. My dad could pay for it with a month's salary. Okay? So there it is. So that would be your reasoning. And all I'm doing here is quickly thinking of these meta truths, these big truths, and picking out economy, transportation. Okay? Sure, there could be lots of other reasons, but again, I bet that if I ask 100 people the question, tourism is bigger than ever before, why is this? Then from 100 people, see here, what would most people give as the top couple of reasons? From 100 people, I feel that a lot of people would probably say, well, it's easy to get around now because of planes and boats and cars, and people have money to travel. In the past, it was really expensive to go long distances, so people didn't have that opportunity. Right? So here we go. Repeat after me. So tourism is a bigger business now than ever before. Why is this? Well, the first two thoughts that come to mind, which explain the growing popularity of tourism over the past few decades, are improved economy and more transportation. I mean, many people these days can afford plane tickets, As where this was only for the wealthy 100 years ago, also, there are highways connecting cities and countries. Like our trip to Dubai, my dad could pay for it with a month's salary. Okay. All right. So that would be your band 9 answer. And notice this part here, which explains the growing popularity of tourism over the past few decades. That part there is a paraphrase of the question. So I'm using the question in my answer to think of good ideas and to put it all together. Okay, everybody sees that? All right. Ois, Nick Hill, and others, I see you're giving some good answers. That's great. Time to apply that strategy to the next question. Here we go, everyone. This one's for you. So give me an answer to this one. Can you think of any new kinds of tourism that hadn't existed 50 years ago? That might be a thinker. Okay. Give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. So can you think of any new kinds of tourism that hadn't existed 50 years ago? Okay. Oa says, absolutely. 5 decades prior, there were not a lot of tourism for health and exploit tourism because before the purpose of tourism was mostly for enjoyment and cultural exchange. It's a good start, Ois. I'm kind of understanding what you're saying. You need to give me some more details. Shokruchbek says, well, I can briefly say about space travel, for instance. Lots of companies, including SpaceX, have already established plans for tours to Mars and building a new city to live there. That's our future. Okay, I think you're a little bit off topic. So new kinds of tourism that didn't exist 50 years ago but might exist today. Space tourism is starting to emerge. So I think you have a good start there, Shokruchbek, but you need to stay more in the present. Otherwise, you're kind of going off topic. Okay? Un says, well, I haven't thought about it before. Virtual tourism, maybe the one that hadn't existed 5 decades ago, with certain devices in the internet. Many websites offer people to explore nature online. Jamal says, sex tourism. Jamal, I would probably say that existed 5 decades ago, but you can go with that as long as you can intelligently explain that, Jamal. You're probably, kind of chuckling and things in your mind, but the Ielts won't judge you for saying that as long as you can say it in a nice, cultured way. Okay? It's possible with all of the matchmaker websites and dating websites out there. I would imagine that that's probably more popular today than 50 years ago. People traveling to other countries to find that special person and someone. So not just sex, but relationship tourism, maybe, Jamal? Okay. All right. Lachika says, we associate tourism with relocation, but in the modern world, it doesn't always imply physical travel. 3-dimensional virtual tourism breaks the pattern and welcomes tourists to explore new environments virtually. Lachika, nice answer. Okay, and I see the part before with the evolved technology, many kinds of tourism that didn't exist 50 years ago, like 3-dimensional virtual tours. Okay, that's good. All right. Carolina says, these days there's a program called Safari Tourism that didn't exist 50 years ago where people can visit some open areas in Africa and see animals in their natural habitats. Carolina, I have a feeling that you might be making that up, maybe. But regardless, it's a great answer, okay? You can make up your answers on the Ielts. It doesn't have to be the truth, all right? You can make it up as long as it's believable, okay? Anikesh says blogging tourism. Okay. Ferdov says certainly educational tourism didn't exist half a century ago. Now a lot of students visit foreign countries and experience Western study-like participation work and travel programs. Really nice answer for Dobbs. Kevin, another fantastic answer. Kevin says, ecotourism is definitely an emerging concept for this industry in the past few years. Instead of arriving at built-up tourist attractions, visitors take trips in the great outdoors and walk instead of hopping into a cab. An experiential tourism where people immerse themselves in the life of the local nature or surroundings is gaining traction in Asian countries. Very good. Carolina says, ha ha ha, yes. Regardless, Carolina, as I said, that was a good answer, okay? Rashika, ecotourism, yeah. As Kevin was showing Rashika, ecotourism is actually one word now. So ecotourism, that means tourism in nature, yes. That's a great question. And one that I need a moment for to come up with a good answer. A moment later. The two types of tourism that weren't really in the limelight a half century ago are educational and in ecotourism. In the first, people have the opportunity to learn while exploring a foreign culture. In the latter, tourists go to explore the flora and fauna of the country rather than indulging in man-made amenities. Okay. So here we go. Repeat after me. Can you think of any new kinds of tourism that hadn't existed 50 years ago? That's a great question. And one that I need a moment for to come up with a good answer. The two types of tourism that weren't really in the limelight a half century ago are educational and ecotourism. In the first, people have the opportunity to learn while exploring a foreign culture. In the latter, tourists go to explore the flora and fauna of the country rather than indulging in man-made amenities. Okay, let me do a little bit of explanation here. So when you have a question where you need to think a little bit to come up with a good answer, buy some time, ask for some time, it's okay. The examiner knows if a candidate is stalling because they don't have the vocabulary or the grammar, or if you're stalling because you need to think. It's human and it's normal to think, especially in part 3 questions. So don't stress about it. If you need time, ask for it. Lots of ways to do it. This is kind of a unique way. Okay. Here, the limelight means to be popular, to be in the spotlight, to be famous, or to be well known. Okay, it's to be in the limelight. Okay, instead of 50 years, some of you used 5 decades. I used half a century. Educational and ecotourism. Okay, yeah, so as a couple other members and students wrote, ecotourism is where you explore the ecology of the surroundings in the country. So the nature, how nature works, and you pay attention to not hurting or destroying nature in that country. So in the first, people have the opportunity to learn while exploring a foreign culture. In the latter, tourists go, latter means that in ecotourism. The first means educational, okay? The flora and the fauna of the country rather than indulging in man-made amenities. Man-made amenities would be luxuries like hotels, entertainment places like indoor skiing, the Burj Khalifa, and shopping malls, okay? So instead of shopping malls, you go to the forest and take pictures of trees and animals. Okay, here we go. One more question for you. Let's do this. Many people make travel arrangements using the internet. How has this changed tourism? That's a good question. All right, give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. And Behlul, Felipe, Karan, I see your answers to the previous question. That's good, okay? Even though I don't read all of them out loud, I do see them. So good job, all right? I always try to catch some different students at different times. Ferdov says, the internet has transformed the way people schedule their trips, as there are many apps where individuals can purchase package tours and they are cheaper than before, as these apps have reduced expenses. Okay, it's a good start for Dobbs. Again, it's a bit of a thinker, right? So think about traveling around, how the internet has helped you and technology, okay? Sammy says, individuals nowadays are totally using technology for booking tickets and checking favorite places with photographs, like videos. Not only that, but also checking the reviews of people's experiences. Yeah, absolutely, Sammy. Very nice. What's up, Jamshid? Yes, I see you. Answer the question. Un says, this has made tourism to be much more preferable and comfortable among visitors using online services. I mean, if unanticipated issues happen, people can easily rearrange their plans and time online. In Dubai, very good, Un. I like where you're going with it. It's a good answer. Okay. Roshni says, booking online tickets has impacted tourism drastically. Tourism has increased tenfold because it now becomes much more convenient. Just a couple of steps and an individual can book a ticket with discounts. Very good, Roshni. Okay. All right, Nawai says it saves time. Expand on it, right? It's much faster, so people can do more. It's more efficient. Think about those meta, those bigs, right? Honey says the internet has given a plethora of options like cheap tickets, and also visitors can learn more about the facilities in advance. Good start, honey. Pay attention to your grammar, okay? Lots of corrections were needed there to make that comprehensible. Kevin says the growing trend towards arranging travel details on the web by customers has prompted many travel agencies to go online. What I mean is that they develop their web pages so that they are easier to navigate, as well as installing an AI program to answer queries. Kevin, I think you're going more into the business of online travel than how it's changed tourism, okay? Tourism itself. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Like, it's changed the industry, okay? I'd stick a little bit more to the tourism perspective per se. Aziz Beck says the transformation of travel arrangements that people are applying nowadays offers them way more choices. By this, they can check and compare options and then pick the ones that are budget friendly or that's to their preference. Okay. All right. So I think that the way the internet has impacted tourism, for the most part, is making it much more efficient and informed. People can now plan and execute their travel plans much easier simply by going online, comparing prices and reviews, and booking their preferred options. Simultaneously, they are able to see pictures and watch videos that allow them to be well prepared and to get excited about their expectations. On our trip to Dubai, I brought a warm sweater with me to wear for our indoor skiing adventure after watching some YouTube videos online of previous tourists. Okay, here we go. So let's go from the top. Many people make travel arrangements using the internet. How has this changed tourism? I think that the way the internet has impacted tourism for the most part is making it much more efficient and informed. People can now plan and execute their travel plans much easier simply by going online, comparing prices and reviews, and booking their preferred options. Simultaneously, they are able to see pictures and watch videos that allow them to be well prepared and to get excited about their expectations. On our trip to Dubai, I brought a warm sweater with me to wear for our indoor skiing adventure after watching some YouTube videos online from previous tourists. All right, that is your Band 9 fluency, detail, originality connection to part 2. Okay? All right. Students, viewers, fantastic work in today's class. That was the last question. If you want to continue practicing, try the first 3 questions that we did when we talked about New York a couple months ago. And remember that you have speaking partners waiting for you on our websites at aehelp.com and gieltshelp.com. And definitely, if you like what you see, it's worth the one-time payment for lifetime access. You can use this code R4TYJ and get all of our exams, videos, apps, all those goodies that help many, many students every day to become better communicators and achieve their success on the IELTS and take a step towards their studies and their travel plans. Students, that's it for me for today. Thank you so much for your effort, for participating. Nick Hill, Sammy, Honey, Rashika, Carolina, for Dobbs, Sammy. That was fantastic participation today. Thank you so much. Lachika, Jazz, Nawal, Lay, fantastic. Nice to see so many of our regular students. Again, no class tomorrow or Monday. I will be back Tuesday with 2 more classes, okay? Check the holiday schedule on the YouTube Community Bulletin. I'm Adrian, and I'm signing out from beautiful Central Europe for now. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye.